Hi, it's Terri Gaines. I'm going to show you how I use the Stamparatus to stamp the flowers and the leaves from a stamp set called To a Wild Rose. It's new in the new 2019-2020 annual catalog. It is a $1 million sales achiever inspired stamp from by Mary Ellen, and it is a wonderful stamp to use. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I use the Stamparatus. A little bit about the Stamparatus. You purchase the Stamparatus, you get 2 plates. They are hinged, they come out. You can purchase extra plates. I have purchased extra plates and I'll be showing you those today. You also get a sponged insert. You want to put that in if you're using photopolymer stamps, and that's what I'm going to use today. You can purchase a pad of grid paper, and I have one of those on here, and you get 2 magnets that are stored in the back. I put some mask or some painter's tape on mine, so I have an easy handle to pick those up. I only use 1 magnet at a time, and I leave the other one on the back side. You never want them to get close to each other because they will collide and maybe even break. So I'm just going to leave one here. A lot of times I don't even use the magnet to hold the paper down, but I still want it here because it will help keep my platform level and prevent my platform from stamping one side more than the other side. So I'm going to do that. Also, you notice on my stamp I have a little dot here. I've done that for the 3 images because they overlap each other and you want to make sure that you're overlapping in the right direction. So I purposely put my dot on this side. And I'm going to show you how I use this to create 3 different flower images for 3 different cards. I started out with Whisper White cardstock, and it is a 1/4 sheet of cardstock. It is cut 4 1/4 by 5, and the color of ink I'm using is a new ink color called Rococo Rose. So any of these stamps, and this is a distinctive stamp, you want to just tap, tap, tap to get a good coverage. I feel I got too much ink on this, but we're going to go ahead and stamp it. So what I'm going to do is stamp my first image, and I'm just going to put a little bit of pressure here, and I've got the first image. I'm going to set that aside, and I'll just set it off camera. Then I'm going to grab a second piece of paper. Without re-inking it, I'm going to stamp it again to get an even softer color. Set that off aside, and I'm going to do that a 3rd time. So this is creating the 3 different flowers that I want. So the next stamp I'm going to use is going to be the less detailed stamp, and I'm going to not stamp it on this first one, but stamp it on the second one. As I mentioned, I put a mark on here, and we talked about my mark was over on this side. So to set up my next image, I'm going to place this stamp right over my first one. That's going to help me for alignment. And the reason I put that mark over there is so I get in the vicinity of marking it, because otherwise you're sitting there rotating it, trying to decide which way it all goes. Put your marks on there and they'll work great for you. So now that I have that here, I'm going to bring my paper down, pick up the stamp. Now it's in the location for my next image. So I'm going to ink this up, just tap, tap. You don't want to push down on that. You just want the surface on the ink on the surface of the stamp. I'm going to go ahead and stamp that on that second one. And then we're going to stamp it again. I'm going to stamp it again on that 3rd, which is a softer color. So I get a real soft color here. So there we have 3 different so far. All 3 are using the solid stamp, and just these have the next detail. There's a 3rd image for this, which is the outline, and I've already got that in the correct place. So for these 3 different cards, I did them all slightly different. For the first one, I used Rococo Rose, and I inked this up, and this is same color and same color, and we should get a darker detail there. There you go. So you can still see the outline of that, which is perfect. The second one, I actually use Sahara sand, so we'll do that one last. And the third stamped off image, I also use the Rococo Rose. So we'll ink that up and stamp that. All right. And as I went through, I kept grabbing another piece of paper. I have these set up this way that I could have rotated this and stamped that second image here. So that was my intent, but once I got the video going, I kind of forgot about that. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and clean my stamp, remove the Rococo Rose from that using the Stampin' Up! Chamois, which is a great tool. I think everyone needs to purchase that. It's a great tool. It's gonna fall off the counter here. And then I'm going to use Sahara sand. The reason I'm using Sahara sand is because some of the designer series paper has the Sahara sand color in it. It was a perfect contrast color for this. I'm gonna stamp that and ink up this one with the Sahara sand. And there you have that. So these are the 3 different flowers that I stamped. And for the leaf, I'll quickly do that. I actually just used the 2 images. There are 3 in the catalog, or 3 in the stamp set. I used the stamp with the little stem. There are also leaves without a stem, but I just used this one. Again, I placed the quarter sheet of cardstock. Ink pad color for this is mint macaron. And I'm going to ink that up, and I'm putting too much ink on my stamps. But then I'm going to rotate this, do that again. 2 of them I want the solid color. And then what I'm going to do is rotate this. I've stamped in this corner, which is over here. I'm going to rotate that without re-inking and get a lighter version of that. I'm going to bring in a new plate with the outline image and ink up that, get the detail on this. Isn't that pretty? Just pops everything out. Second one, I'm bringing this on. You can see I have excess ink on the plate, but because the magnet's there, it's not going to allow it to hit the cardstock, which is good. It just tells me I'm pressing down too hard when I'm inking up my stamp. And there we have it. So there we have the different images, and I did cut these out with the die cutting machine and the coordinating dies. They're available in a bundle. So go ahead and cut these out, and you'll have all the images you need for these 3 cards. So just I use the layering leaves folder on this one. This is the lighter, the 3rd stamped off for these cards, and this actually says True Friendship, and I just covered up the true to fit everything in the card. So friendship is one of God's greatest gifts. This card is the first one with the bolder design. It's a fun fold. The layered leaves is just embossed on the edge. The reason I do that, this allows you to stamp your inside sentiment and sign your card, and it just gives you an indication that you don't want to go that far because your signature message and inside sentiment might just go too far over there. This 3rd card is a fun fold card. I'll give you a couple tips on this one. Got a little extra fold here. What I did was I used the subtle folder on just half this card. I put this on the back. Gets assembled to the card base, and then I put my dimensionals right here, allowing me to take the backings off when I place those on. That way, if I put the dimensionals here, I sometimes get them exposed. Then if you shut your card, you've adhered your card shut. So I hope you enjoyed these projects. If you found me via YouTube, look in the comments section for a direct link to my blog posts where you'll find all the supplies, measurements, and instructions for these projects. There'll be a PDF you can download and a direct link to my Stampin' Up! Store to purchase the supplies. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoyed creating this project with me.